creme anglaise.
Sorry, I thought you were gonna do like creme anglaise. Okay, so again.
That's stupid. Hey, don't pork, pork, pork. Hi, Lynn and Nancy, and happy Mother's Day from Heidi and David. And so, for your present today, we decided to do that one thing that we didn't get to when we went to go visit you, which is teach you how to make creme anglaise. So here I am in my full chef's outfit in my very own kitchen, and we're going to learn how to do this. So our ingredients for this recipe are going to be 8 ounces of heavy cream, 8 ounces of milk, 3 ounces of sugar, 5 egg yolks, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And the hardware for this recipe are going to be a medium-sized saucepan, a medium-sized bowl with a strainer, a whisk, a spatula, a small bowl for measuring, and a digital scale. And you want a digital scale because everything in baking and pastry really relies on accuracy. So first we'll start out with weighing out the milk, and that's 8 ounces. Make sure to tare on your scale once you put the pot on. There we go. If you go a little bit over or under, that's okay. Now I'm going to add in the cream, equal parts, so another 8 ounces. 8 ounces, okay, great. And your next step is to add half of the sugar into the recipe. So it's 3 ounces of sugar, so we'll do 1.5 ounces into the milk, and we'll reserve the rest for the eggs. So once you've added roughly half the sugar of the recipe into the cream and milk mixture, take your pot to the stove. And what we're going to do here is just heat up the milk and cream mixture enough to dissolve the sugar. And you might want to take a whisk and give it a stir just to help dissolve the sugar further. In the meantime, we're going to use the other small mixing bowl to put in the rest of the sugar and the eggs. So your next step is to add the eggs and the sugar together. And by eggs, I really mean 5 egg yolks, which I've pre-separated because I made my friend Stacy a birthday cake the other day, so I had leftover yolks. You'll just have to separate them yourselves. Sorry! So you add your 5 yolks to the bowl, and your sugar, and now you whisk. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, just make sure that they're completely melded together and look like this. Okay, so now I see that my milk is almost ready because there is a line along the edge of the pan that looks like a lot of different bubbles. You can sort of see that the surface of the milk mixture is rippling, and there should be a little bit of steam coming off of it. So kill the heat and take it off, and what you're now going to do is something called tempering. And this is an important process because you're taking a hot liquid and incorporating it into the egg yolks. You have to do this slowly while stirring constantly, otherwise you're liable to have your eggs cooking on you, and you don't want to do that. So by doing a little bit slowly at a time, you'll be able to incorporate the hot mixture into the yolks. Like this. This is also where you could use an extra pair of hands. Thanks, honey. And I have trouble pouring sometimes because of the lip of my pot, but as long as you pour kind of slowly, whisking constantly, there you go. Now you have a mixture of milk, cream, egg yolks, and sugar, and none of it is curdled. And the reason why we incorporate this is because what we're trying to do with our creme anglaise or egg cream is coagulate the proteins of the egg, and that's what creates the thickness that we like so much in a creme anglaise or egg cream sauce. And what we do by adding sugar and milk to the mixture is preventing the proteins from coagulating too quickly. So now what we're going to do is take our mix, pour it back into the pot, And we're going to put that over a medium-low heat. And what you want to do is continue stirring while on a medium-low heat. What the medium-low heat ensures is that the heat, what it does to the egg proteins is it first denatures the proteins, and then as it gets up to a certain temperature, it'll coagulate again. And when you put it on a medium-low heat, it ensures that the proteins coagulate correctly and prevent it from curdling or over-coagulating, which is when you get those hard little rubbery balls surrounded by a lot of water. And that's not the effect that we're going for. So what we're aiming for is to get this custard mixture to a temperature of 180 to 185. And just a side note, if you have a candy thermometer or any sort of thermometer, this might be a good place to use it because it'll help you ensure that you get to the right temperature point and you'll know when to pull it. If not, it's okay, I'll show you when to stop. But until then, keep stirring on medium-low heat. So you'll want to whisk, not necessarily vigorously. You don't want to create a lot of air bubbles in this, but you do want to make sure that you're scraping the bottom and all over the place. So you'll notice that as you stir, the mixture will begin to thicken. And what you're looking for is a stage called nappe, which is when the mixture will coat the back of your spoon and it will be so thick that you'll be able to run your finger across and none of the mixture will fall. Okay, so we are really close. We're between the zone that we need it to be. You'll notice that it's getting really thick, and this is an example of the nappe. When I run my finger across, it stays and you see the line. So now take it off the heat. And your next step is to strain it through the strainer into your medium-sized bowl. And the reason why you're straining it is because in every good creme anglaise, you will get a little bit of over-coagulation, just because of exposure to the bottom of the pan. And you can even see, if you look closely, that there are tiny little curdles. That's an example of what we don't want. And that's an example of what our strainer catches, so that it's not in our final product. The step is to add your vanilla extract to the recipe. And if you were to have something like vanilla bean paste or actual vanilla beans, you would have put that in at the very first step with the milk and the cream, because it would steep like tea and give it that nice vanilla flavor. But with vanilla extract, you want to add that last, otherwise it would have boiled off. 1 teaspoon will do ya. And then whisk that in. So it might seem a little watery right now, but that's just because it's hot. As your creme anglaise cools, it'll become nice and thick. What I would advise you guys to do is create an ice bath for the creme anglaise to sit in. This is the safest and probably the fastest way to go about cooling a custard. So just take your ice. Pretty proud of how that happened. Fill it with some water. And then place your bowl of freshly made hot creme anglaise into the ice bath. That way it sits in cold water and it will directly cool it down. You can also keep your whisk in there and give it a stir every once in a while so that you create more surface area to expose to the colder parts, so that overall the custard cools faster.
How? Happy Mother's Day. Bork, bork, bork.
Well, the chef's done it again.
Done what?
Nothing.
Oh!